You know that feeling? That constant pressure, like you're just incredibly busy working so hard. But you're not really getting ahead. More like, I don't know, running on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, just spinning your wheels, not gaining traction.
Exactly. And maybe you did all the things you were supposed to do, the school, the job, saving money.
Right, followed the traditional path.
But it just doesn't feel like it's leading to, like, real freedom or control.
It's a really common feeling that that sense that maybe the map we were given is, well, outdated.
Or just leading somewhere we didn't actually want to go.
Precisely.
And that's why we wanted to really dig into the source you brought today. It's a review of Rob Moore's book, Leverage, The Science of Success.
Right.
And it seems to, push back hard against a lot of that standard thinking.
It definitely does. It puts forward this idea that the way many of us approach work, maybe it's just not the best fit anymore, especially now.
So, okay, our mission for this deep dive then is to unpack these big ideas from the review. Like, what actually is leverage?
Yeah, what does it mean?
And why is it becoming so, I guess, essential right now? And maybe how understanding it could, I don't know, shift things, how we work, how we live.
Yeah, how it could offer a different path.
Right. Let's explore what it means to actually use leverage rather than, well, the review says rather than being used by it.
Okay, so let's start there, the definition. The review describes leverage not just as like a trick or a tactic, but as a whole system. A system really designed to channel your time, your energy into building lasting wealth.
Okay, lasting wealth.
Yeah.
But there's another part to it.
Yes, and this is key. It's while also getting rid of all those tasks that just eat up your time, the stuff you don't want to do, or maybe don't even need to be doing yourself.
So it's kind of like figuring out your unique contribution, what you're really good at.
Exactly. What moves the needle.
And then being almost ruthless about delegating or just ditching the rest.
Pretty much. And the review stresses, this isn't just for business. It's framed as a way of life, even a philosophy.
The philosophy. Okay.
Yeah, something that helps you keep your eyes on the prize, your main vision, your big goals, what really matters. Even when things get crazy.
Which, that sounds completely different from the path the review says the book is not for.
Right, the contrast is stark.
That whole 16 years of school, getting into debt, starting at the bottom in some low-paying job.
And then just grinding it out for 40 years. Painfully, slowly.
Yeah, sacrificing time, working crazy overtime, always putting off happiness for someday.
Hoping you save enough for that eventual, maybe never comes retirement.
There was this line in the review that really hit me. It said something like, maybe we really are living like fools like slaves to a system.
It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Is this standard path really serving us anymore?
And it leads right to that question the review brings up. Why didn't we learn this stuff in school? This leverage idea.
Well, the review suggests maybe our teachers weren't taught it either. They just passed on what they knew, work hard, be diligent.
Which is good advice, but maybe not the whole picture.
Exactly. Because then you hit adulthood and realize the world's different now. Those paths we were told to follow, maybe they're just not the most efficient anymore.
So the source is basically saying adapting is key, even if you feel like you're starting late.
And it needs a real shift in how you think. It's not just about being smart or knowing stuff.
No. What else?
The review says today it takes wisdom, strategy. You have to be okay with failure sometimes, not just constantly chasing safety.
Okay, welcoming failure. That's a big shift.
It is. And seeing the bigger picture, the forest, not just the trees, across everything, money, relationships, life.
And this leverage idea, it seems like it gets turbocharged by technology, right? The review links it directly to today's world.
Absolutely. The gap between the old ways and what tech makes possible now is just getting wider and wider.
And the message seems to be, adapt or get left behind.
Pretty much. If you don't figure out how to use these new tools for leverage, you're at a disadvantage.
And the review gives examples of how tech lets you do this with, surprisingly little effort compared to before.
Yeah, some really good ones, like using social media, a bit of time, maybe a small investment, and you can reach customers anywhere.
Right. Or building a whole brand, basically, for free from your laptop.
You can even set up shop online now without needing, employees you manage directly or holding inventory yourself or massive startup costs or even owning servers.
It reminds me of those big company examples the review mentioned, like Alibaba.
Doesn't own the products.
Uber.
Doesn't own the cars.
Alibaba.
Doesn't create the content mostly.
Netflix.
Doesn't own the cinemas.
Right. It's striking, isn't it? The real value often comes not from owning the stuff, but from building the system, the platform, the connections using technology.
So leverage is kind of the key to unlock the benefits of all this tech with less grind. That's how the review frames it, yeah. Maximum benefit from science and tech with minimum time and effort.
Okay. That sounds amazing in theory, but actually doing it, embracing new stuff, changing habits. The review admits it's never easy.
No, it's definitely not. And that's where you hit the pushback, people saying, oh, that's not possible, or
just stick to what you know.
Focus on what you've been doing, that kind of thing.
Which is funny because the people who really change things, they never listen to that, do they?
No, they follow their own ideas, often against the grain.
So the real hurdles are often inside us.
You'd seem so. Fear, maybe just laziness, even getting bored with the effort involved. That can stop us dead in our tracks.
And the review had that point about our minds being fragile, like we make a resolution and forget it by tomorrow.
Yeah, fragile enough to forget our resolutions within a single day. It means you have to be, really conscious about it. Remind yourself daily.
But it also said something hopeful, right? About awareness.
Absolutely. The moment you become aware you're stuck in old patterns or you've slipped back, that's the moment you can just start again. Transformation is always possible.
Okay, that leads into this really crucial idea in the review. The difference between using leverage and, being the one who is leveraged.
Yes, this is a core distinction. The source argues that if your work life is mostly about following someone else's plan, and you don't have systems or people or technology working for you, then essentially you're the one being leveraged.
Meaning others are profiting more from your time and effort than you are.
That's the implication. You end up at the bottom of that economic ladder, often doing the most work for the least relative reward.
Which flies completely in the face of that usual advice. Just work harder, put in more hours.
Right. Society tells us that's the key to earning more, but this review flips it. It says, actually, the people who build and use leverage are the ones who really earn the most effectively.
Okay, but we need to be clear here. This isn't some get-rich-quick fantasy, is it? The review makes a point about that.
Oh, absolutely not. It specifically calls out people who are always looking for the quick buck, the instant win, without doing the hard, slow work.
People who want the result without the process.
Exactly. And it says that actually works against real growth, against compounding. They want big returns without patient effort.
And there's that sharp description of what happens then. They start again, and stop again.
Yeah, and the only thing compounding in their life is pain, disappointment, and low self-esteem. Ouch.
That's pretty brutal.
It is, and the review is emphatic. This is not leverage. It even says, even mediocre work sustained over the long run yields better results than brilliant work done inconsistently.
Consistency is key then. Persistence.
Leverage requires persistence, that's the quote. It's about sticking with it.
And the author, Rob Moore, apparently emphasizes repetition, growth, keeping a wide perspective.
Right. You have to build the skills, build the assets first. The rewards follow. They compound over time. And you need to keep seeing the bigger picture.
It connects back to that idea of success is a daily habit.
Yeah, and that other image. Building a solid foundation with the bricks others throw at you. It's about resilience and consistent building.
So a big part of this, maybe one of the hardest parts, is learning to let go.
Oh, hugely important, according to the review. You have to actively prune things that scatter your focus. Cut them off.
Even saying no when people demand your time urgently.
Especially then if it doesn't actually line up with your main goals, your vision. Learn to say no, politely but firmly.
Because if you don't let go of some tasks, maybe even most of what you do now, there's no room to grow.
Exactly. You won't scale. You'll just stay busy on the same level.
And we all have that little voice, don't we? Nobody can do this job as well as me.
Yes, that common illusion.
So the solution, according to the source.
Find the right people. Really invest in helping them understand your vision, get them bought in, and then you have to trust them.
Trust them. And ignore the doubters.
Ignore the critics, yeah. Focus your energy where you add the most unique value. Let everything else go.
This seems tightly linked to another point the review stressed. Continuous learning. Especially learning from others.
Yes, the reviewer even shared a personal bit about actively seeking out experts on things like capitalism, the economy, business models.
Just talking to people who know more.
Exactly. And realizing that often the biggest obstacle wasn't, society or the system, but their own ego, their own stubbornness.
Wow. That's quite an admission. our own resistance being the main problem.
It's a powerful point. And the review suggests that this ability, this willingness to keep learning from other people, it might actually be your greatest asset in building leverage.
Like that Bill Gates example in the review?
Yeah, apparently he loved partnering with people smarter than him in certain areas, people who could teach him stuff.
He found joy in it, learning from people who opened doors he couldn't.
That's the idea. It shows a kind of humility, but also strategic brilliance, right? Recognizing that others' knowledge multiplies your own potential.
Okay, so finally, let's clear up one potential misunderstanding. This whole leverage thing. It's not about delaying happiness, is it?
Absolutely not. The review is really clear on this. It's not about sacrificing today. For some, maybe retirement way down the line.
That someday I'll be happy trap.
Exactly. The point is to transform things now, to build a life where you can have intention and joy and fulfillment today.
Not waiting until you're old or hit some magic number.
No! If you have a vision, the review argues, you can start applying these principles right now and begin creating that kind of life.
So it's a shift from just working hard to working smart, maybe? Building systems, focusing energy, freeing up your life.
That seems to be the core message, yeah. It's an intentional way of operating.
So, wrapping this up, this deep dive into the review of leverage really paints a picture of, well, a fundamental choice. It defines leverage, sets it against the old way, shows how tech changes the game, points out the hurdles.
And draws that really sharp line between using this power and just being, well, used by it.
It really boils down to that question from the source material, doesn't it? Will you use leverage, or will you be used by it?
That's the challenge it leaves you with.
So thinking about all the examples we talked about, the tech platforms, the big companies, but also just delegating tasks and that warning about getting left behind, here's something for you to consider this week.
Okay.
What's maybe one small step you could take? Could you spot one area where you feel like you're being leveraged right now? Where your time benefits others way more than it benefits you?
Or maybe
identify just one tiny task, something you could delegate or even just stop doing to start applying a little leverage to gain back a bit of control over your time, your focus.
Just one small thing to start shifting the balance.
Exactly. Something to think about until our next deep dive.